Welcome to the speaker series on A Shotglass of Recovery.
Yeah. Yeah. You get a house, you get a car, then you start thinking that's all you are, but you don't know the truth. So let me spell it out for you. Now I got your attention, now there's a start. Now sit and listen to my favorite part. Life's been giving us some clues. The answer lies inside of your.
I am Lisa, the host of A Shotglass of Recovery, and this is our speaker series. Let's sit back and get ready for some more experience, strength, and hope.
I'm Jen R, not Jen M. So, and my sobriety date is 2/17/21. And I just have to say, when I first logged onto this meeting, I was a little taken aback to see the familiar faces that I usually see every morning. I was like, oh, you're here in the evening too. Because I never come to the evening meetings. But it was nice to see you guys. And I am a little nervous. But then I reminded myself that, I'm amongst friends and we're all here for the same purpose. Excuse me. So I don't know if I can talk for 45 minutes, but I'm going to give it a shot. In New York, we talk for like 20 minutes, max half hour, and then we give time to share. So I will do my best. I don't know if I've spoken for 45 minutes anywhere. So I have learned that I have the disease of alcoholism, and I didn't want it. I didn't agree to have it, but I developed it. And I come from a family of drinkers. So I hated alcoholism. And I swore I would never be like that. And, then I just I got into life. I started drinking. It was the thing that you do in my family and in my social circles when I was growing up. It started off slowly. It started off with fun, being social, going to parties, hanging out. Then as I got older into my 20s, it was, going to the bars or the dance clubs and, having a good time. But all along, I was doing what I had to do. I was checking all the marks off in life as you go along. I went to school, I got a degree. I wound up getting married to somebody who drinks. And he drank more than I did. So I was pointing the finger, which was my habit of always pointing the finger at everybody else and saying, "Oh, you drink too much," or "I think you might be an alcoholic," or, you know, I could take their inventories, rather than look at myself, even though I did. I went to therapy. So, but I was drinking all the time while I was in therapy. And, that saying in the big book, half measures availed us nothing. I mean, I got something out of it, but I probably would have gotten much more out of it had I not been drinking. So, I kept powering my way through life really in a subtle feminine kind of way. But nonetheless, I was going forward. I had my agenda. This is what I'm going to do. And I set out to do it and I did it. But that marriage didn't last. I blamed him without really being able to see my part in things, and that has been a theme. I always, like, pointed the finger at other people and took their inventory and say, "Look at them, look what they're doing wrong." I never looked at myself, and, it was very easy in my family of origin to point out what other people were doing wrong because there was a lot of dysfunction, so it was easy. I went to Al-Anon for a brief stint, but I didn't really stay. I wound up and I wound up going into AA in 2002 for about 2 years, and I was on this pink cloud for 2 years. I mean, I felt great. I was so happy. Everything was going good, and then my disease told me, I think you're making too big a deal out of this whole alcoholism thing. I mean, let's be real. You can have a drink. And I went out and I did. And that is the thing with my particular brand of alcoholism. I can have a drink or two and walk away from it. But my alcoholism is like a slow rolling marble on a table. Like you drop that marble on the table and it kind of like slowly rolls around and then, it's okay until it falls off the side of the table. It's like falling off a cliff and then it's not okay. And so I did that. I went out and then I came back many years later and I was sober for about 4 years. And again, my thinking said, you're making too big a deal out of this. You can have a drink. And I went out. During that time, I just have to say, I mean, I think when I was in the program the first 2 times, I had sponsors. I thought I had worked the steps, but I didn't really do it thoroughly. I didn't understand it. I didn't grasp it. Like, you know, there's a saying, the lies we tell ourselves, like the lies I tell myself, that's my denial. Like I minimize things and I make excuses. I think to myself, "Oh, I'm not that bad," or "It wasn't that bad." And, what I can tell you is it is progressive and it got worse over time. And I remember the bruises on my body. I remember foggy thinking, not thinking so clearly. I remember my irritability and like snapping at people. Those poor customer service people. Oh my God, they got the wrath of me. It just, I wound up being what I said I would never be, and that was an alcoholic sitting at home drinking alone because it went from being fun and going out and being social to me then taking a drink alone to me then sitting at home isolating alone, watching TV and getting drunk like my father, just like my father. And I'd go to bed and then I'd wake up the next day and I'd go to work and I'd say, I'm not gonna drink today. How many times have I said, "I'm not drinking. I don't wanna drink anymore." And I'd get home and I would drink again. And I repeated that for, I don't even know, years, lots of years. And, I thought everything was okay because I was going to work. I was paying the bills. I was showing up in courtrooms, because I through a divorce and I moved, I bought a house, I made dinner. Like I did all the things that I was supposed to do, but I was not happy. I was having personal difficulties, although I didn't know it at the time. You know, I was angry, I was depressed, I was abusive, looking back on it now, verbally abusive, sensitive. I wanted people to, like with my difficult family of origin, I wanted to be loved and included and accepted. Now, I have some very difficult, my sister's an extremely difficult person, but I did not handle that well because I carried resentment and then I retaliated against her, and it just made me look bad. I could have walked away. If I had had the tools that I've learned in this program now, I could have handled it so much better, but I couldn't do that at the time. I didn't know how to cope with it. I don't know how to deal with it. So, those are my fundamental problems of not being able to deal with other people, with life on life's terms without retreating to a drink, you know? And, a lot of it does come down to, me and my ego. What do I want? Because I can be a very I am, and this is and I am. I am a very nice, loving, caring person, and I do the right thing often, but sometimes I don't. And sometimes, like, if, I'm doing those things, but because I want something out of it, I want something from you. So that's not being very genuine, that's being very manipulative, right? So, you know how we say in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's all about me, 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 me. And when I look at my behavior, it's like I was thinking about what I wanted and what was good for me. And I ended all of my relationships because the relationship hit a difficult period of time. And rather than looking at myself, I blamed them and I didn't have the tools to be able to work through whatever the problem was at hand. So I just cut and run, which is my MO. I end relationships with an X. That's it. Goodbye. See you later. Have a nice life. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. And I'm out of there. And I'm on to the next, because I want somebody who's going to make me feel good. I mean, that's the bottom line out of all of it. And when they become difficult, it's not worth it to me. And all this is while I was drinking, you know. So I had resentment and anger. I was blaming other people. I could be manipulative, but I've learned in this program that I have to look at myself. I'm the one that has to change, not other people. I'm maladapted to life. I'm the one that can't deal with the difficulties of personal interactions or things that come up. So so then this time around, I mean, this is so embarrassing. I'll tell you. This time around, I was out there drinking for a while and oh my god, I've only spoken for 15 minutes. I don't know how I'm gonna do this for 45 minutes, guys. But I I got into a relationship. This is how low we sink or how low I sank. I I crossed those red lines that I said I would never do. Well, I did one. And one of my things was I would never get involved with a married man, ever. Well, I met this man and I fell head over heels in love with him. Now, he was married. Well, to my defense, he said he was separated when I first met him. And that turned out not to be true. He was still married and he was still living in the same house with the woman, different bedrooms. So that's what he considered separated. I don't consider that separated. But, he he wound up leaving her. He moved in with me. He did get divorced. And my thinking was, well, gee, he's married. He's been married for all these years. He's not afraid of commitment. So that's good because I wanted to get married again. Anyhow, long story short, that relationship ended, which has been my pattern. Oh, but I met him when I was drinking. In all of these relationships in my life, I was drinking. I met them when I was drinking. I drank through the relationship. The relationship ended. I drank. I mean, no wonder things weren't working out in my life. So for this particular man, because I thought in love with him and I knew my drinking was a problem. I said, okay, I'm going to go to AA. I knew where to go to stop drinking. So I decided I'm going to go back into AA. And I did. And that was in February of 21. So I've learned that I sabotage myself in life and I always have. My drinking played a big part of that. Sorry, the dogs are like wrestling each other back here. So I forget where I was. I don't date anybody right now. I'm not in any relationships with any people. I'm just working on myself. I'm not so sure that I even want to get into relationships anymore. Romantic relationships, I mean. So, I have 2 kids. My 2 kids are like the opposite end of the spectrum. One has ADHD, so she has some learning disabilities. It's difficult for her. She has a lot of anxiety, depression. And then I have my son who is like superstar. It's ridiculous, you know? So, like, I'm having the full spectrum of parenting experience. But what I can tell you is that I have learned certain things in this program. I have learned to stop fixing other people, to stop telling them what to do when thinking of my adult daughter, which I have a tendency to do. So I stopped advising her and dictating to her and trying to fix her or arguing with her or pushing her uphill and suggesting and recommending and all this stuff that I would do that would just alienate her. And, you know you know, to love her, I have to let her go. I have to let her fail and learn from her own mistakes. In Al-Anon, they say love is letting others voluntarily evolve. And, you know, love and tolerance is our code in AA. I don't want to judge anybody. My ego was all tied up in my daughter too because I wanted to look good, right? I was pushing her because I wanted my daughter to be X, Y, and Z, to succeed, because that made me look good, right? I worry how she would reflect on me and my parenting, which is a very selfish thing to do. And I have learned that giving people advice when they don't ask for it is received as criticism. So I want to be kind and loving and build people up and not tear them down. I want to help others. I do help others. I'm a professional helper for a living, which I'm good at my job, but it's sometimes hard, to bring it into my personal life. And I have found that that was the slowest change for me was within my own family. But now, I because of the tools, some of the tools I've learned is that I can pause. I don't have to open my mouth. I can stop and just shut my mouth before I talk and before I say anything that might be misconstrued or is not necessary. It's not needed. I don't need to say it. So, I mean, that's about it for me. I mean, I do the work to the best of my ability. I go to 2 meetings every day. It's just something that I do by rote. It's just a habit. I get up in the morning and that's what I do as I'm getting ready for my day. Um, and what I've learned is that I'm the one that has to change, not other people, because because the world is not going to change to suit me. I have to be able to adapt to circumstances of life. And, the program basically says, how free do I want to be? How happy do I want to be? Because I'm the one that's going to have to do the work in order to change, to free myself. It's for me. It's not for anybody else. It's for me so I can free myself. The bondage of self, like the third step prayer. I have to change if I want a better life. And, alcoholism beat me into a state of reasonableness. It made me realize things about myself and to step forward to really take a look at myself and, to grow up. Even though I masqueraded as an adult in a lot of ways, these dogs drive me crazy. Stop, you too. I don't know if you can hear them. You don't? Good. I'm glad you guys don't hear them. They're whining and crying and whatever. So, it's not about me anymore. And it's just, I am one amongst many. I'm just a small little speck of dust on this earth. And, whatever happens, happens. And I have no control over it. But I do want to be kind and loving to my family, to other people. And my daughter can be prickly. She can be difficult, but I love her. And I'm going to help her and support her to be the best person that she can be to the best of my ability while I'm here on this planet, and like I said before, love and tolerance is our code. And, I have to remember that and I have to put that into practice in my life. So, these guys, I don't know what else to say. That's about it. I mean, I drank, I blamed other people, I pointed the finger at them. I partially looked at myself, but not that much. I was in denial. I didn't think I had a problem with alcohol. I thought I made too big a deal out of it. I could handle it. what I have to say, this disease is cunning and baffling and powerful because it uses my brain. It uses whatever I know to convince me that I'm really not an alcoholic, and therefore I'm not like you, and I can go out and drink. Thank you very much for the information, but I'll be fine. See ya. I mean, I'm telling you, this is exactly what I have done so many times, and it's really scary because I'm afraid that I'm going to do that again. So, you know, what I have learned is that going to the meetings, working the steps, working with other people is helps me because I can see it in other people and that we're all really alike in so many ways. And when I can see it in others, it helps me better able to see it in myself. And, I didn't have to bring the house down and crash everything around me. Oh, one other thing that I did do, which I'm not proud, I drove drunk with other people's kids in my car. I mean, these things that I did, I swore I would never do, but I did it, you know? That's the disease. Thank God nothing happened. And I know not everybody is that lucky. I know that. So, but for the grace of God go I. And I don't know why somebody else and not me. I don't know why. Life is not fair, but I know that I have to deal with whatever life throws at me. And, you know, I I don't take myself that seriously anymore. I don't care that much about what other people think of me. I just I show up. I try to be in love and service to other people. I try to open myself up, but I'm not that great at it. I still have a little bit of I'm going to keep you at arm's length about me because of where I came from. I didn't grow up in a very well, it was a mixed bag, but there were a lot of very mean, rejecting, critical, abusive people in my family of origin. A lot of people who are all about one-upmanship. It's just so I had a hard time dealing with that. Let's be real. I was the one that couldn't deal with it. They are who they are, right? But I couldn't deal with it. And I was very sensitive about it. So, but today, well, I don't have contact with my sister in particular, but I wouldn't subject myself to the abuse at this point. But I don't know. I had a conversation with my sponsor earlier about this because she still rents space in my head sometimes. And he said, "Well, why don't you send her a Christmas card every year? Just send her a Christmas card and a birthday card and say, 'Oh, thinking of you. Hope you're well.' Don't say anything that I don't mean, but just write that thinking of you and I hope you're doing well." Well, that's true. I am thinking about her, so I sent her a card and I hope she's doing well. And my sponsor said, "Well, that shows willingness and it's good for me. I grow from that." Having no expectation, zero expectation as to her response. And probably she wouldn't respond at all. She won't. But I'm the one that will benefit from it. It's not about her. It's about me. It's about me being willing to do it and love and tolerance, right? Showing love and tolerance for others. I would just say, if you're in the program, just hang on to your seat, stay in the program. This disease gets worse. It is progressive. I know this from personal experience. If you have a slip or you relapse, come back. Come back. It's no big deal. I've done it. That was what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I mean, now I just keep working the steps. I go to my meetings, I read the literature, I sponsor, and I try to be honest, open, and willing. And I'm much nicer to people, customer service people. As I said before, on another meeting, I am a calmer, more sane version of myself. I used to be I could be very abrupt. I could be very yelling. at my kids or have an attitude like, because I was a single mother and it is exhausting. Let me tell you, being a single mother is exhausting. So, everything fell on me if they had to be driven somewhere or help with homework or making dinner or, you name they want to play a game or whatever the case may be. And sometimes I would do it, but, I did it with an attitude sometimes, and I regret that. But I am now able to I show up without an attitude and just be more, just do it, keep my mouth shut. Or if I'm tired, I just say I'm tired and I go to bed. I don't have to get into it with them. Thanks for letting me share.
Just a quick reminder to subscribe, like, or follow if you like the show on any of your favorite listening platforms. If you like the speakers and other content on the podcast, please show us some love by leaving a review and consider making a PayPal contribution to help keep the show going at paypal.me/A Shotglass of Recovery. Every dollar makes a difference, and we thank you. Our speakers come from my AA home group, AA Solution Seekers. We meet every day at 7 a.m., so pop in sometime and say hello. Until next time, thanks for joining me on A Shot Glass of Recovery.
Everything you do, the answer lies inside you.